the words of peace and of paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Alaikum
To
salam.
listening audience, today we are talking about something very serious that's, hitting social media and all platforms. And, we're watching and bear witnessing to a lot of content that's going on in reference to how times have changed. And we were discussing about how entertainers and influencers on social media have an effect on our young daughters and women in general, but pretty much it affects everyone. If it affects the women, it's affecting everyone. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says no nation can rise above the condition of its woman. So the higher the woman, the higher civilization. The lower the woman, the lower civilization. But before we get to this conversation, I'd like to introduce my paneling audience. We start off with Brother Vernon. I'd like to introduce yourself, my brother.
Uh, Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm Brother Vernon Muhammad. I am here to participate in this conversation. I'm a lover of the community. I'm a lover of my people elevating and rising, adopting higher vibrations, and just evolving to be the best that we can be. So, anywhere that we can look for solutions to the problems that we see in our communities, I want to be involved in that kind of discussion and that kind of effort. So, thank you for inviting me, Brother Levon.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And also, we have Sister Kamisha. They're part of a dynamic duo that you can catch them called Love, Space, and Time. This podcast is very good. It talks about relationships and how we can honestly see ways that we can mend and come together and learn from each other's trials and tribulations. That's a beautiful thing that they have. You can also catch them on BLXCR Talk Show Radio, and they also have their own website as well. But without further ado, Sister Kamisha, I'd like to introduce yourself, sister.
Yes, peace, love, and light. I'm Kamisha Muhammad here. I am currently in the city of Atlanta, Georgia, and I have a lot to say about this topic tonight. I am a mom of five, and I have a lot to say about the youth and the changes that I'm seeing as far as a culture these days. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, praise be to Allah. And we also have a community activist. The only thing this sister's missing is a cape, and she does a lot of beautiful things in the community. I'd like to introduce my sister. She's been on the front line for for quite some time. Al-Kamal, I'd like to introduce yourself, sister.
Greetings, family. My name is Alpamar Malik. I am a social justice activist. My sword is the pen. I tend to go maneuver towards the pen more so than any other weapon of choice. And my goal and mission and purpose on in this worldly existence is to help raise the consciousness of our people. So
Praise
I'm
be,
looking forward to this discussion, and I thank you so, so much for having me.
praise be to Allah. And I also have a good friend of mine, world traveler. She gets around. Her influences and the things that she's seen around the world could definitely be an impact in this conversation. Sister Sophia, are you there, sister?
Yes, I am.
How to
Peace
get
and
introduce yourself?
blessings. Peace and blessings, folks. My name is Safia. I am originally from East Elmhurst, New York. I am a transplant now to Houston, Texas. I've been here about 6 years. I am a certified licensed nurse practitioner by trade, and I have three young adult daughters coming up in this here mess we call life. And so, yes, I have very strong feelings about how our young ladies are carrying and conducting themselves in the community nowadays. So I'm just blessed to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, praise be to Allah. So let's get into it. I want to start between me and Brother Vernon because we're as fathers of daughters, we tend to see things differently. As men, it's different when you have your boys. You're not as worried, but you are worried in some aspects. But as a father of daughters, seeing what we're seeing today is very alarming. I can speak for myself. You know, Although yes, you are raising your daughters to the best in your ability and you're telling them the do's and don'ts, what have you, but there's nothing that's more challenging than the influences that you have on television, especially in the days that we're living in. Because once upon a time, we had to dig for the dirt. It was there, but you had to dig for it. Right now, social media and other platforms are, they don't have any moral scruples about what's out there anymore. Whatever is famous goes, what have you. So there's no barriers there. So as a father, I'm having a big concern because when I see other young ladies, I see them as my daughters as well, because that's how we grew up in our community. Everyone's child was our child. So it's alarming to see what's going on and there's no filters there. So this is the nature of this conversation, to see how can we bring that fabric of family back. And we definitely want to get the sister's perspective because, as women, as women, we don't want to feel like we're telling them what to do. But from a safety issue, also, there's a concern behind that. I'm noticing a lot of young women that their clothes are getting smaller, shorter, more revealing because that's the fashion trend. So, Brother Vernon, as a father yourself, what are your concerns and what is your outlook on what you see today, brother?
Man, it's my concerns as a father is the two words that come to mind is just on guard. It's a constant state of mind. It's a constant state of being where you just are always on the lookout. It's one thing, as you said, somehow when you have your sons, you're like, all right, they're going to be all right. They're going to have to endure some stuff. And that goes into the making them who they are. But it, there's just something natural about a father where, there's some things that your daughter should not have to experience, should not have to come into contact with. So, as it relates to the media and this subtle influence or not so subtle influence that's on every phone screen, on every TV screen, and whatnot, it's just a constant mode of protection. You can't even be careless with it and just let something pass by because everything that people are taking in on the phone or on the computer is shaping, the character of this young woman for the future. So my posture is one of just always being on guard, knowing what the conversations are that are taking place out there, and just being ready to add my 2 cents so that my daughter, my nieces, anybody who I can influence just gets a different perspective. Because if I stay silent, who's going to speak up? I see the way things are going if you just let it go the way that it's going. So somebody's got to speak up. Somebody's got to say something. And if I'm in that position, it's on me.
Yes, sir. So I want to say this before I move on to the sisters. And we don't want to see, because we were once young, and I can share with you that, you know, coming up as Generation X back in the early 80s, what have you, the uniform a woman wore would tell us, whether she was of a certain lifestyle or not, without me being so um, forward. But once again, you don't want it to, one thing I tell my sons is that no matter what a woman wears, you still got to respect her. And gives you no right to violate her no matter what she wears, how she conduct herself. So that's something that we definitely want to push out there, what have you. And then there's no such thing as, well, if she's dressed a certain way, this is what she's asking. No, we want to make sure that we clear this conversation no matter what a woman wears or how she conducts herself. We still got to have control of ourselves and still show her respect. So we want to make sure that, we're not, being holier than thou. Like I said, we were young, but as you grow older, you see things a lot different. But Sister Kamisha, you said something earlier that you have a huge concern about the climate today because of, you're a mother of five. So you want to share how you feel about the climate that's going on today, Sister Kamisha?
Yes, so with I guess I'm gonna date myself when I say this, but my oldest daughter is um in her early 30s, and my youngest daughter is 23. And with the oldest daughter, it was, they back then they didn't have, the access to the cell phones. They weren't exposed to the same type of things that my youngest daughter has been exposed to, with having access to the cell phones. And so I can see the shift in what I call stripper culture because, the music is geared toward hypersexualization. The fashion industry has been following suit. I saw a conversation the other day about how young ladies have taken the dress for the clubs, and it's like they're making it mainstream, as in, this is something you wear not to the club, but you also wear it to dinner or, just out socializing. So it's like it's like the there are no lines anymore as far as, oh, I shouldn't wear this type of outfit in this situation. No, I'm just going to wear this regardless of where I go. And it's kind of it's a lot going on because we have this culture of women's empowerment, and women can do everything that men want to do, and women should have access to everything that men have access to, and women have charge over our bodies and our sexuality. But when you have a force that does not have your best interest at heart leading this conversation, then it gets into, okay, well, you don't need men anymore. You can be a strong Black woman by yourself. You don't really need Black men kind of
Right.
situation. You don't have to depend on men for anything. You're just kind of like out there for yourself, but you're a strong Black woman and you can do all these things for yourself. And I personally see that things are just so out of balance, so out of balance. And that is one of the main motivating factors for myself and for Vernon for even doing this podcast, talking about relationships, because we want to have a balanced view to be able to present to the public to say, no, it's not always about the restaurant that you're gonna go to on your first date. It's about really getting to know the person that you're potentially going to live your life with. It's much, much deeper than that. So I've seen the influence just get stronger and stronger and stronger over the years. And the missing piece is just, the parents or the leadership instilling in the young people, yes, this is there, but this is not something that you have to follow, or this is not something that you have to do. You need to have enough value within yourself to say, I don't have to follow fashion. I can reject that and be my own individual self.
Yes, ma'am. Now that's a great point. And I want to, when I go to the next group of sisters, I want to get your perspective too, because I think it's more pressure on the mother having to be that example based off what Sister Kamisha said. The culture that's promoting, I don't need a man, the dress code, the promiscuous behavior. It's a whole different ball game. So as mothers of daughters, um, how do you talk to your daughter about her being virtue, being a lady, and what does that actually look like? What are those challenges that you're having in this highly sexualized society that we're in? Let's go, Sister Alkamar.
That's a interesting question that you pose to me because I view myself from both sides of the fence, so to speak. I was a early mom. I have two children. I had two children. I lost my son at 33 years old 2 years ago, and I had him at 17. I had my daughter when I was 21. And when they were growing up, I used to tell my son all the time, we grew up together, he and I. And so it was a challenge for me because, of course, I don't know half the things that I know now. I didn't know then that I know now. And so um, I had to learn as I go kind of scenario. And so my upbringing when they were young was chasing that bag. That was the most prevailing passion in my life at that time. And because of those decisions, um, there were a lot of things that faltered as it related to raising my children as their mom. And so when I say, and I'm bringing this full circle, because when I say I can speak on both sides of the fence because now I know better. I have a grandbaby. I'm attempting to teach better, but it's like I'm kind of backpedaling, trying to fix a whole lot of behaviors that I let slide, when my children were growing up. So my daughter is actually could fit into that category that my sister just described as the young lady who smart as a whip, very driven, independent, beautiful, inside and out. But she has chosen, in a lot of ways to go the way of the world with the long eyelashes, the tight skirt, you know, you know, so it's like it's a internal battle for me because now she's 29. She's a woman of her own, with a daughter. And so, you know, I have to tread lightly because I'm aware that the things that I try to describe and express to her now um should have long been discussed when she was just a little girl. But at that time I had no idea that society has so much pull on young girls. So that's an interesting question to pose to me. So what I say is that get them young. We gotta get them young, and we have to raise the parents in order for the parents to properly raise the child.
Absolutely.
And so at my grandbaby just turned 7, and every chance I get, I'm in her ear, in my skillful way, the things that I've learned along the way about how to properly dress, the whole thing about now, about the children in school are being groomed now for that it's okay to have two daddies in the house. And so I'm in her ear about that. And so things like that. So my response would be to we must get them young. We have to, because if not, the world will swallow them up.
Yes, ma'am. And no,
Brother
that was
Levon,
yes, ma'am.
Brother Levon, I want to say something real quick about
Sure.
what the sister just said. I definitely get where she's coming from. I was a young mother as well. And so, as we get older, we learn different things and we learn how to be better parents to our children. And I had a certain point in my life where I had my own spiritual awakening, and it made me change my whole parenting style. Whereas in the beginning, it was very much do what I say, kind of situation. When I grew up, quote unquote, and learned how to be a better being, my approach to parenting was different. I encourage my children to understand that they are responsible for the decisions that they make in their life, and they're responsible for the consequences of said decisions. And whatever they choose to do in life ultimately should be about their own personal happiness and about being a better individual on the planet. And also, just searching within themselves for their own purpose and reason for even being here. And yes, young people are going to experiment with different things. Yes, they're very much a part of this culture and they want to know what it's like to be a part of this culture. But even if we've quote unquote messed up in the beginning, it's never too late to come back and be that guiding force, because when they get to a certain age, of course, you're going to hear, well, mom, I'm grown. I'm an adult now, you know? So like the sister said, she has to tread lightly. I understand that. I understand that. I get it completely. You don't want to drive them away. You want to be that listening ear and that guiding force still in their life, even as younger, because you never stop being a parent. You never stop being a parent. So you always have an opportunity to, instill a word in them, drop a seed, as we used to say, plant a seed that even at the ripe old age of 29, she can still get it. She can understand it and contemplate it and, make the necessary changes that we all need to make. So I just wanted to say that about, being a young parent and your parenting style changing over time because we're growing up with our children.
Praise be to Allah. That's key what you just said. Get them while they're young. We know that, but that's the game plan of this wicked society to actually get them while they're young. So it'll make it more challenging on the parents, to, wing them away if the parents' stronghold isn't strong enough. But Sister Sophia, you travel around the world, and the question still goes over to you as well. What do as far as your experience as you are a traveler, you know, the challenges that you see not only for yourself, but maybe the different influences how the world may see how this society, is so loose as far as the way that women conduct themselves. There's in a lot of Islamic countries, depending on where you are, the women are very protected to some degree, much more than the States for me being overseas as well. But you being a traveler and the things that you see and posing the same question to you, how do you take this content of this subject, and from your experience, what are the challenges that you see?
Well, a little backstory. I'm on my second marriage. My first marriage, I married young, and we had three daughters, and they're doing well. And they're still trying to navigate this whole social media culture as well, but they're doing relatively well because we definitely were very hands-on and involved, even though we were young parents. And I feel like we got a very good outcome out of our parenting skills. All three girls are young professionals. My oldest is 29 and my youngest is 20. She's a college student. And so they're doing pretty good. Now, out of my second marriage, my current husband is Ghanaian and he has a 10-year-old daughter. And one of the things that took me by surprise, he's Muslim, born Muslim and very traditional in his values and things of that nature. But what I noticed is that in Ghana and in West Africa in particular, this BBL lifestyle that we are experiencing here has definitely infiltrated their culture as well. And so these young women are watching these African women who are already beautiful and already blessed from the gods with, curves beyond curves, but they're still doing these BBLs and they're still on social media for attention. And they're getting that attention and it's like trickling down to the younger kids. So much so that we had to kind of rethink his daughter, my stepdaughter, having the smartphone because every time she would log in and be on her timelines, and what that tells them is that my God-given body is not good enough. So let me plan to do this BBL because let's face it, a lot of those folks over there are very poor and impoverished, and they use that as a way of snagging a husband from whatever country to get up out of there. You know what I mean? So it has trickled over to other cultures as well in other countries. It's big in the Middle East, believe it or not, as well. I see a lot of women in hijab
Mhm.
showing their auras, after having tummy tucks and BBLs. You can't miss that BBL body. You know that it's not natural, but they're there and they are showing their auras. And it's sickening and it's very concerning to me. I thought that we were the anomaly in the United States, but it looks like we are the uh, typecast or the role model that other cultures are trying to emulate, and it's scary.
Mm. Yes, man. No, that's very real. This is why this conversation is so important, especially getting it from the point of view from our sisters, and of course, me and Brother Vernon being fathers. But our sister Lakeisha is on the line, and she has given permission for her daughter Serenity to give her input as uh a young person, Generation Z, if we may their perspective, and what better way to get a different insight and actual facts than someone who is actually, in this generation of social media, fast paced, we want to get their perspective as well. So, Sister Lakeisha, you there, sister?
Yes, I am. How are you, brother? Salam.
Islam, sister, good hearing from you, and thank you so much for giving us your perspective. And I know my sister's history. Sister has a beautiful heart, and she shares her testimony to help give awareness to what's going on. And she's used her story to actually help save lives. So I don't want to take up too much. I want the sister to speak for herself. Sister Keisha, from what you've heard, and you being a mother of a daughter, I met your daughter. She's a very intelligent, beautiful young lady. What is your intake on the influence of media and, of course, entertainment that has on young people? And what are your challenges as a mom with all these things going on?
Oh, okay, thank you, brother. And I'm gonna be brief so that my daughter, who is 17, her name is Serenity, she can speak to that because for me, my challenge is reassurance. I'm learning that. Reassurance, letting her know I love you, you're beautiful. Like people pleasing is for people who don't have a mind. And I told her, and as you know, I was raised by a single father, so I feel like he was raising me and training me at the same time. But if you don't have your own mind, one will give you one. So I every day I just try to give her wisdom, but I also let her be a teenager. I let her and her friends go walk around the harbor. I'll let her, go to one of her friends' birthday parties or whatever the case may be. But I try to keep an equal balance. But the challenge is I'm not affectionate. And it may be because I was raised by an alpha male who had no type of feminine tendencies in any type of way. So even when he called my name, it was a rhythm in the atmosphere when he spoke and in the room. So for me, I have to tell myself, and my challenge is for me. Did you hug Serenity tonight? Like last night, and I'll end with this. I I put her to the test because I said, hey, I have to do the work you do too. So we always say good night and hug. So last night I was in the living room writing, and I said good night, and she came out the bathroom. She said good night, and she went in her room, but she shut the door slow because she knows I'm consistent. But I always initiate it most of the time. I give her 20%. She's cool, but I said to her, this morning, I set you up right. She like, what you talking about, mommy? I'm like, I never not hug you, baby. I said, so I was waiting for you to take the role of she laughing right now. For you to take the role and hug me, because my dad gave me a book called The Power of Touch. And he was, even though he was an alpha, the moon he was born under, I don't get into the zodiac, but it is true about personalities. I did a study. He's a Cancer, so he's very sensitive and loving and emotional. And I didn't know that. So I'm looking at it like, Daddy, okay, I'm late for picking you up, or I'm sorry I didn't give you a hug right away. I was on the phone with my friend, like he'll just, but I had to learn. So I'm gonna just end with saying my challenge is being consistent with me, making sure she's reassured that I got her. This world don't care nothing about her. So don't be fooled. But Serenity, tell them your perspective on Sexy Red and Sukiyana and the baddies and let's keep it real. Like what's your view as a 17-year-old, beautiful young lady that have to live in this time? Okay, hi y'all. I'm Serenity.
Hey, Serena, how
And
you doing, sister?
I'm good. Um my point of view of the whole 2024 society stuff, I feel like it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's overrated, it's overhyped. I feel like the stuff that artists be talking about nowadays is not really irrelevant. They either talk about money, drugs, killing, violence, like stuff like that. Like us being Gen Z, I feel like we're the upcoming generation, which means one day we'll be the adults
And I feel like everybody's making all laughing and joking because we kids and stuff, but one day we're gonna be responsible and kids are gonna be looking up to us. And if we're going based off of Sexy Red and Sukiana and Baddie Shot Clark and all this other stuff, I feel like it's not gonna end well. So when we raise our kids, we're gonna raise them as TikTok and Instagram kids and try to like one up and compare each other's kids or personalities or lifestyles to one another. Because I feel like social media is all about comparing, reflecting, and like trying to one up with somebody. And I feel like that's not the case at all. But sometimes it is good to use the internet, like cooking, stuff like that, recipes, watch a funny video, stuff like that. That's cool. But like these new artists, they're about to be gone. Like literally, Gen Z is about to be up there. And if we're looking up to ridiculousness, we're gonna be the ones looking ridiculous, and then everybody's gonna be looking up at us, and then it's just gonna be like a not really a generational curse, but like it's gonna like end bad. Like the more that the years go, the worse the world's gonna become. Like especially when it comes to like the presidents and stuff, money. Like everybody only cares about money. Like it's literally about money, food, and that's it. Like a lot of kids that I'd be around, they'd be like, I'm just gonna grind for this money. Like I don't care. I don't care. It's all about money, 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 and not about like God and Jesus and the Bible, like stuff like that. All they care about is money. Now, I'm not about to be a hypocrite. Shoot, I need me some money in my pocket too, because who doesn't? But like I feel like this, I don't know. Like me, I live on the fence. Like I'm not a worldly kid, but I'm not a spiritual kid. Like I'm stuck in the middle. Like I'm very spiritual. No, don't get me wrong. I'm very spiritual, but like I know how to tap in when I need to tap in. That's what I'm trying to say. Like I love God. I read the Bible every day. I pray, all that good stuff. Like I would never leave God alone ever. But me, I can't like I'm always gonna be spiritual, but like when I'm around my friends, I give them a little bit of that God because they need to hear it. But like when I'm with my friends, I'm a teenager. I'm gonna be a teenager. I'm gonna have fun, go to parties in a safe manner, nothing bad. But like I'm still a kid. Like everything, like I'm not so worldly. Like my mom, she keeps me sheltered. She keep me like grounded, very, very grounded. But she give me the breathable space that I need. But she don't want me to be so loose and run to the world because she said the world is like a pack of wolves. And since the world, like as soon as I'm out in the world, like they're gonna get me. So she want me to be prepared. She's giving me like notes and tips on how to like move with life because I go to college next year. And so being free and having that freedom, I'm excited as I don't know what. But the things that my mom taught me, I could apply to it so I won't be looking like a deer in headlights because this generation is crazy. The stuff I see in the like on the internet nowadays, it's just terrible. Like kids my age, kids under me and above me, like it's middle schoolers and elementary schoolers that are like flicking, they're vaping, smoking, drinking, flicking, like all this other stuff. And I'm like, some kids in high school don't even do that. No, I said some because they be on some certain stuff. But I just feel like who's gonna stop it? Like nobody's gonna stop it. The government don't care, the parents don't care. I feel like the parents just I feel like some parents don't need to have kids if they don't know how to raise a kid. And me being a kid, I can say that because I feel like some parents like let their kids do what they want because they're just there. Like because kids don't ask to be here. Kids are just here. So some parents be like, dang, now you here. I don't know what to do with you. Like sometimes that's not how my mom is, but I feel like my dad, I could say that about my dad because when I'm around him, I just feel like I'm just there. So he just be like doing whatever. Like he don't care what I do because I'm just there. So I feel like it's a lot of parents that have like teenage kids that just don't care no more. Especially like when you're the first child, I feel like the first child gets like goes through the most stuff. But that's just, how I feel. But I don't know, like they need to get it together. They need to stop playing. I don't know.
Yes, man. Well, you said a lot of key things, sister. And we thank you, little sis, for opening up and trust and believe. Everyone on this panel have seen some things too growing up, and you're just getting what we dealt with on steroids. The things that you see, we had to dig for it. And it was a little harder because we had community and, you just couldn't do anything. You couldn't cut school because cutting school was like an adventure, because you didn't want nobody's parent to see you because that was a wrap, but now it's so common for children to be everywhere all times during the day is like you said, the care isn't as strong as it used to. But I just want to keep you on the line, with your mother's permission, and just maybe tap into the moms. And Vernon, you could chop in it too. But this is
Mhm.
very this is very important because um the sister said a lot of things. And, just like me and Brother Vernon, we understand what boys do, but we want to get to the idea of how we can save some of the young ladies from some of the mothers and the elders who are here, who have daughters. What would you say to the young ladies for the traps that's out there? Because Serenity said a lot of things that maybe you can relate to.
Based on what Sister
Right.
Serenity was saying, I just want to throw out there a word of encouragement.
Right.
That's what she put on my mind. If there's
Okay.
anything that I can say in this conversation, is to encourage people. A lot of time I hear people make the distinction. I'm worldly, but I'm trying to. I love the Lord. God is real in my life. I'm spiritual. You there's a narrow path. Yeah, there's 8 billion people on the planet, and I don't know whatever tradition you follow, they
Right.
all say the same thing. The people who are really striving to make it, the people who are trying to be the highest that they can be, it's a small group. It's a small few. So understand the world that you're walking in, you know, and understand that there's going to be a pull on you, no matter what your age, no matter where you are in life. There's you and your righteous walk with God and the highest aspect of yourself, and there's what this world is trying to do to you. Um, strive, strive because it's worth it. Strive because you have a light that needs to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Strive because God put something in you that can be of benefit to some group in that 8 billion people is just for you. Your
Right.
influence is exactly what those people need.
Mhm.
So never lose yourself. Feel encouraged. You have just as much right to be your wonderful self as other people in this world are going to try to get you to be other than yourself. So be the best of who you are.
Praise be. Good,
Thank
good, good.
you. Be your best self every day. Keep learning and growing into who you are as your own individual, unique self, and grow in that way. Because, there's plenty of people who are trying to be somebody else. They're not in love with who they are. When you fall in love with who you are and accept who you are, man, that's truly amazing. There's nobody else like any of us on this planet. We're all individual, unique beings, and we should celebrate that.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. And I agree with that. And, one of the things that came to my mind, what Sister Serenity was talking about, was that she tried to be the person of reason. And all of us had that friend, that was, they went with the flow, but there was a line they wouldn't cross. And that was sometimes knowing that if that person is drawing a line across the sand, it was like a warning sign that maybe I shouldn't be doing certain things because God put certain people in our lives for a good reason. And I'm glad that our young sister spoke about God and she kept it 100. She says, my mom raised me right. I'm a teenager. I'm gonna have my faults. She's going to deal with those things. So I just want to get a perspective from some of the sisters on here. You know, what are the things that we should help some of our young sisters look out for, the traps that they were talking about. That's what this conversation is about because we're seeing things and it's raising hairs on us. So what are those traps that we can actually help explain to our young sisters listening that they can look out for from your perspective?
I have something really quick, brother.
Sure.
One of the traps that I've realized that a lot of young people and older adults fall into is the trap of sabotage. Meaning, let me give you a very good example. I'll tell a young lady, "You look nice today." Or a grown woman, it doesn't make a difference. "No, I don't." "Oh, child, no." I mean, they can't take a compliment or anything. Something has ripped their soul up so much that even when I ask women, when I do self-esteem workshops, to look in the mirror and tell me what you see. Some of them turn away from the mirror. Some can't look in the mirror. Some can't confidently say who they are and what's going on in their life and what they see in their eyes, right? So for me, I just, I'll conclude and just say, I think it's the lack of really finding out who you are through your trauma. Like trauma defines people sometimes, and they respond and act out of trauma. So who are we outside
Right,
of that?
right.
Who are we outside of that? And I'm actually doing a workshop on the 27th called "Who Are We Outside of Our Trauma?" So, and it's going to be on Zoom. So hopefully you all can be a part of my Zoom too.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
okay, yeah.
We can make that happen, and
Okay.
that's very key. Um, and just think from a man's perspective, right? Because we want to give, of course, saying Vernon probably co-sign to this. Um, you can never win a man over sexually, and that's one of those things that they're promoting. You know, um, you don't need a man, but you don't have no problem being promiscuous. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happens is you attract the wrong man. Saying the wrong energy. Because a man will take advantage of you, allow them because they see that you don't see your self-worth. See, the thing is this, men observe. And
That's
this is
true.
where those traps that we want to teach. Men observe. There are certain women they're not going to entertain them. A woman's covered or she speaks a certain way or she's really reserved. A man can't, if he wants to play games, he's not going to waste time with that. But depending on the language of the female, if she talks reckless, she likes to drink,
Mm-hmm.
smoke, try to prove a point. Men are wise hunters as far as going after weak prey. So
Mm.
they'll give you the perception that you are believing that whatever you're saying in reference to um you know I do what I want to do and I can sleep with as many men as I want to, what have you. They want you because they see you as a plaything, and then deep down
Mm-hmm.
inside, no woman, I believe, wants to feel like she's a doormat for any man. And then when she
You're
feels like
right.
when she realizes that she's been used, now the resentment and the anger kicks in because what she
Mm-hmm.
thought was independent and strength was really weakness
Mm-hmm.
and vulnerability. And you allowed a man that wasn't worthy of you to take advantage of you. See, this is where these traps come in at. They tell you to go out
Mm-hmm.
there and that you don't need a man because guess what? When a man tried to speak to you, now you're not trying to hear anything because you don't want to feel that a man's telling you what to do. A lot of times when men care, and I'm going somewhere with this, when men care, they want to give you the game. That's 9 times out of 10 is what we do when we care about you. Hey, look out for
Mm-hmm.
this. Men are going to do X, Y, and Z. Because, like I said, there's a textbook. We could recognize game before you do. When a
Right.
man is not genuine about him being with you. That's why once upon a time, when me and Brennan was coming up, meet someone's a mother, a young lady's father was a big deal because you
Right.
can't walk in there. He gonna read you. So
Right.
Right.
especially if you care about the young lady, so you made sure your clothes was pressed. You had your verbiage together, haircut. You were squared away
Mm-hmm.
because you knew that he's going to try to read you because the way the daughter carried herself, the first thing she does, if she knows she cares about you, I want you to meet my father, my
That's right.
uncle,
Right.
my older brother. See, those protections are
Mm-hmm.
gone, and those are the traps that we're talking about. They're taking that
Mm-hmm.
away. So why this, and I'm being very honest, this toxic feminist ideology is pushing this narrative. You're pushing away your defense away from
Mm.
you, your protection. They want you to do that. Now you don't got no protection. Now you got everyone that's hurt, bitter, and spewing out ignorance has a microphone now. So now
Right.
microphones are hitting millions and millions of people who are
Mm-hmm.
misguided, who don't got
Right.
that father there, that barrier there. So back to what I was saying was when we had to
Mm.
meet the father, the uncle, the grandfather, his first question was, what was your intentions with my daughter? What do you plan on
Exactly.
doing with yourself? Are you working? Do you have a job? Are your parents together? See, all those things matter because he has to protect his daughter's heart, especially when she don't know that she needs protection. That's our job as fathers with daughters. So you tell them that. So therefore, you raised your daughter right because she's not sneaking a boy into the house or sneaking. She know that daddy wouldn't approve of him. Saying so if he's doing that, she should know automatically she's in the wrong. So those are the traps that we're talking about. I want to give that from a male's perspective, how dangerous it is. Especially when, as this Serenity was speaking about, and I've got one of the other panels said as well, the clothing are getting shorter, smaller, more revealing, because we have freaks designing the clothes for our women now. You're spending millions of dollars for a piece of rag because somebody's name is on it. As you can see it now, everybody's just in the satanic industry, what I'm saying, is falling into that trap. Everybody's naked. And if you've seen clips of you've seen clips of the award shows, everybody's shaking their behind, twerking. Strip culture is full effect. So that's the traps that I want to tap into our sisters about. How can we help our sisters realize what your protection is and what to look out for? Anybody can take
and now I see a lot of these young mothers dressing their young baby girls up provocatively and showcasing them on Facebook for all of the pedophiles to just see. I think it's very dangerous for women to do that. This is definitely a female thing. You don't see men putting their daughters up there like that on display. It's only the women. Unfortunately, it's very sad.
It is. And I just want to say thank you, brother, because I know you're going to the male panel. I definitely want to hear his perspective. Thank you, sister. I just want to say you were right. My former husband had to go to my dad to ask for my hand in marriage. And we were married for 8 years, So I agree with you with that because my dad told me men see things Lakeisha, in women that they do not see in themselves. So therefore they already got the upper hand. I digress. Go ahead, brother. I want to hear what you got to say.
Man, there's so many thoughts that are swimming through my head right now. But in this moment, a story from the Quran comes to me. Right, there was Zechariah, and I believe it was Mary. Mary, Jesus' mother. The story goes that every time in the Quran it says every time that he went to check on her, he found her already with provisions from her Lord. So what that means in like simple everyday language, the power, she walked in power. She had power, right? He was her guardian. He was her uncle. He was the one that was there to, be that barrier from anything coming to interfere with her. But the key to her power was her walking in, not trying to look a certain way, not trying to, let the outside influence determine what's beautiful, what's strong, what's successful. The key to her power was her direct connection with her creator. And regardless to what he was there to do, every time that he went to do something for her, he found that she was already good. She was already taken care of because that was where her power came from. The role that the men, that the guardians, that the responsible uncles, the people who were going to walk in their righteous duty and obligation as men, as providers, maintainers, and protectors, is to drop that seed, whether it's subtle or whether it's overt. Your source and your connection is the God within you. And if nobody else is giving you that message, that's the message that you can't drop and try to steer it toward me. I can't tell that to a young lady and do it to try to get her into me. I'm trying to get her into the God within herself. That's where true power is. The world needs more empowered women, because that's back to what you said in the beginning. A nation can rise no higher than its woman. How's that going to happen if they don't understand where their true source of power comes from. It's not in your lashes. It's not in, the stuff that goes out, the outward appearance. It's not in how deep the cleavage is or, how you can get your dress to look like this entertainer's dress. Not in any of that. And there's a thing that I believe I came up with it, right? This is the Vern original. I'm claiming it. But it's modesty is way more sexy than trying to be sexy. That's a radical idea, radical thought. And if we can model that, first of all, but start feeding that type of idea into the mind of the young ones, just like these other ideas are being funneled into their mind, if we can get those ideas into their mind, then 10, 15 years from now, we're going to have people who are stronger and more empowered to withstand and overcome what this world is throwing against them. So that's the thought that came on top of the pile.
Right. Very strong, brother. Sister Kamisha?
I agree with everything everyone has said on this in answer to your question so far. And from just my personal experience, just really empowering our girls to believe in themselves, see their own self-value and self-worth away from the standard that's being projected in the world, in society. I believe that's how we close that gap.
Yes, man. But this is definitely a very powerful conversation. And I'm glad I got my brother on here. And definitely, I love learning from my sisters. And just my spirit and our spirit, and I think Vernon could probably co-sign with this. When you love your women and you love our sisters, and we see the traps and we see what's going on, and um, you want to just actually, um, you know, protect everyone. You just want to get that word out. So I just wanted to share, especially to uh, my Gen Z uh, families, Serenity, especially going to college. Temptation gets stronger as you get older, and the further you fly away from the nest, the bigger the predator. So you gotta be mindful of that. That temptation is
Yes.
getting stronger. You see, you have eyes, you're a female, you're gonna have the boys there, and forget they're boys. Certain things men do, certain things boys do. You gotta learn how to decipher the two for your protection. You know, don't experiment with your life. Because there's a lot of young ladies right now with a disease they can't get rid of, or with a baby with a young man that she regrets, all for an experiment or not being wise about her choice. And it's
And
not, yes,
let's
ma'am.
not forget human trafficking.
Oh, please speak on it, sister. Yes, ma'am.
Every,
Human
I
trafficking is
mean,
real.
we see the children that are missing, and a lot of times they are being preyed upon by older men who are enticing them into this lifestyle, with money or whatever, and we end up losing our girls because they're coming across the wrong people and they don't have the wherewithal to say, no, this is not something that I'm going to do. Instead of this, I'm going to turn around and go back the way that I know is right for me.
That's right. Thank you for that point. Great point. But just in closing, you want to make sure we get closing words from everyone. This was very powerful for the respective time. Hopefully we could do a part two with it because there's so much to be fed. But Sister Kamisha had a very strong point. Please, for all women, no matter what your age is, be mindful of that sex trafficking because statistically speaking, Black women and young girls are not uh, being looked for or being reported at the magnitude of those who are Caucasian or other ethnicities. You're only 13% of the population, but we lead in missing females and young children, what have you, in our community. So that speaks volumes about how we're not on our post. So we're going to start with Brother Vernon and your closing statements, my brother.
Man, I'll end with an example where I failed one time. I was on the train in the metro in D.C. and I happened to be sitting. I think I was sitting in behind these two young ladies, And the one young lady, they looked like they were about 15 or so. And one young lady was telling the other young lady about how her boyfriend slapped her in the lips, or slapped her in the mouth and split her lip or something like that. And just the way that she was describing the dynamic, their relationship, was just like, matter of fact, that's just how he is, this, that, and blah, blah, blah. He always do that. He just get like this. And they were like, talking about it like it's just matter of fact. The where I failed was I was right there. For some reason, God let me hear that conversation. But in that moment, I didn't do anything. The greatest thing that we can do, because what we're doing now is shaping the future and shaping the reality for 15 to 20 years down the line. The greatest thing we can do now is look for those opportunities to interject, to be a cause. There's a reason why you get to witness and observe what you observe, and you always have a chance to plant a seed or to do something that's going to shape that person and give them what they need for 10 or 15 years from now. So the one thing I can do is encourage my peers to look for those ways to interject. Whether you're dealing with young men, whether you're dealing with young women, there's always something that you can say to let that person, that young person, know that somebody cares. Somebody got something good to drop on them. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let fear stop you from just getting involved in being responsible. That's it.
Praise be. Thank you, good brother. Sister Kamisha, closing words.
Closing words. We are all that we have. And I know that things look bleak as far as circumstances that are going on the planet, but I firmly believe that we are always where we need to be, experiencing what we need to experience to make us to be better. And just like Vernon said, any opportunity that you have to speak a kind word or a good word over someone's life or circumstance, don't let the opportunity pass you by. You never know how much that can change someone's mindset about what they're experiencing or what maybe they were thinking about doing with their lives. If you have a kind word to share, a good word to share, a blessing to share, then let's do so. Let's encourage each other to do that. And that's what I would like to say.
Praise be to Allah. Wise word. Sister Kamar.
Yes, yes. Great discussion. I'm gonna piggyback on Vernon's point about speaking up. I think that is very, very important and key to changing the dynamics, because that's all that's ever changed anything, is just the power of those who are willing to speak up and move, create a movement. We do that by leading by example, and teaching root causes. I think that's key too. I think a lot of our youth are just unaware. They're unaware of what um the consequences of their actions are, and they are unaware because we don't do a good job of teaching the root causes of why things are the way they are. Why is all the young folks in skimpy clothes, and why has the rap music changed the way it has over the years? So I think that's key, by just educating our youth to critically think about the dynamics of their world. The power dynamic must shift. We can do, we can, we can have all the bullet points in the world, but as long as we are up under the thumb of another power structure who could care less if we live or die, then I think we'll always be fighting an uphill battle. So we have to strengthen our will and our resolve to come up out of this power dynamic, you know. And so, and I think we do that by Sankofa in our journey, meaning to go back and fetch our history and gain the knowledge of who we are and understand historically the people that we are and what it really means to be the original people on the earth. What does that mean? What is the responsibility of being the original people on the planet, and instilling all that into our youth so they can, in fact, create this power shift that we so desperately need.
Beautifully said, sister. Beautifully said. Thank you for that. Sister Sophia, closing words.
Remind these young women to align themselves with positive people and keep all of those nothing people that, want to be around and pull you down and pull you into things and, you know, uh, walk you down the wrong path. Let them be in your rear view. Keep them far behind you and focus on people and places and things that are having a more positive impact to who you are and where you want to be and where you see yourself going.
Praise be
That's
to
it.
Allah. Appreciate that, beloved. Sister Lakeisha, you want to definitely get closing words with you, and definitely from Sister Serenity, because her words were very powerful. Closing words, Sister Lakeisha.
Oh, I just want to say, let's keep in mind that none of our gifts or abilities or anything can work if we don't have love. So a lot of times, these young ladies, young girls I deal with in the community, all types of communities, backgrounds, gang bangers, all that, prostitutes, escorts, I show them so much love, y'all. I'm telling you, every inch make a yard. So when I start inching away at them, I become all things to all people. I can speak on any level, put me in any room with anybody. But I remember the love, and that's how I win souls. So I just want to make sure I encourage all of you that see what's going on, that we be the change that they're looking for. Because we can't wait for other people to do it. Like my daughter said, who's going to do it? Mommy. I'll try. But here's her words. Hmm.
Okay, I don't really have nothing to say. I agree with everything that y'all said. Everything y'all said was true. We need to start encouraging people more. Well, I need to start encouraging my peers so it could just fall down like dominoes. But that's all I really gotta say. We got, like my mom said, show love, encourage, listen, all that. That's all I gotta say.
Praise be to
There you
Allah.
go.
And no, I want to thank everyone who actually came on today, because I definitely learned a lot, and I definitely appreciate it. This is what a village looks like. That we can sit down and have a conversation, and then the words that we spoke, prayerfully, Sister Serenity and those of her age group, can take one seed and grow from it. My closing words are, let's get back to the fundamentals. I believe that we are Generation X, and the millennials are the last generation prior to social media that have walked a certain path and seen certain things, to actually get involved. Let's not be silent or be quiet when we see things that need our attention. Let's tell our young ladies that they're beautiful. Let's tell our young men that our young women are not just sexual beings, because we are allowing prostitute and strip culture to take control and take lead of the conversation. We need more doctors, scientists, architects, inventors, businessmen and women, to help mold the world. Strip culture and prostitute culture is not going to do that. That's a weak foundation. So in closing, it's not about judging. This is not about telling our women what to do, but it's us looking for ways to get back to the fundamentals so we can have a family, which is the cornerstone of every community. I'm Brother Levon X of Brother Levon X Community Reporting. You can catch us on our podcast. Our website is www.brotherlevonxcommunityreporting.com. You can catch us on Podbean, Spotify, and you can catch us on iHeartRadio. And real quick, Brother Vernon and Sister Kamisha, give them the handle to your website as well and to your podcast. You can also catch them on our program as well.
Love, space, and time. Check us out on all those platforms that Brother Levon mentioned. It's about long distance relationships and loving across space and time.
Praise be to Allah. And that's about it. So everybody's be blessed. Let's keep God first. Without God, we can't solve this by ourselves. So everyone, please have a beautiful and safe work week, and let's go save the world. We can do it. God put things before us to actually, take charge of those things and make it happen. When good people do nothing, bad people have the free way to do anything they want. So it's time for good people to stand up and take charge of their posts. So that's my closing words. Allah continue to bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Well,
Salam.